Today we're going to be reviewing Stranger Things Season 5. So Stranger Things Season 5 takes place a year after Season 4, as the entire group, because they're not going to be split up the entire season, has been trying to find a way to stop Vecna after he was successfully able to split Hawkins in 4 pieces. But after a crawl goes wrong, which is basically what they call a bit of a task so that they can find Vecna and destroy him, they find out that Vecna is searching for kids to do something to further his plan of merging the world together and recreating it. So, as a result, the gang has to find the remaining kids to get them out of Hawkins and then go back to their objective of finding Vecna and killing him. So, Season 5 has been hyped for as long as I can remember. So, I always figured that we were going to have to wait at least 2 years, no, 1 whole year for Stranger Things Season 5 to come out, but apparently they were following the same formula as Season 4, where every episode is an hour long, so every episode is basically feature length, as in every episode is a full-on movie. And this is something I didn't really bring up with Season 4, but it's the same thing that Season 5. Season 4 was split into 2 sections, where episode 1 through 7 was released on one part of the year, and a month later, the remaining 2 episodes were released later on. For this season, the first 4 episodes was released, making up Volume 1. Volume 2 released this first half of the final 4 episodes. No. If released episode 6 through 7, and then on my birthday, the final episode was released, and it felt like the most feature length out of the 8 episodes that came out. And I just gonna go ahead and say episode 1 to me felt like a full-on introduction. Like, it did go somewhere. It did tell a story. It was doing what every first episode of Stranger Things did, but it did what everyone else was doing. It showed what everyone else was doing first and was beginning the story second. So we basically saw where everyone was. We saw where the 4 main characters were. We saw what happened to Max. We saw what happened to Nancy, Steve, Robin, everyone. We saw where everyone was and what everyone was doing. And I actually really liked it. And I was kind of curious as to whatever happened to Argyle, because he was a new character for Season 4, but for some reason he was nowhere to be seen in Season 5. So my likely headcanon was that he was able to leave before military came and quarantine Hawkins. Oh yeah, so after the events of Season 4 and everything relating to 11, everyone, the government that was after 11 showed up in Hawkins and quarantined Hawkins. So no one is allowed in or out of the city, and they were able to seal up the cracks with metal plating, which is forbidden, so you guys aren't allowed to be around there. And also, after the events of Season 4, well, Dustin is... Okay, so all the 4 main boys have, like, their own little arc that's going on around here, and I'm going to talk about them from most important to least important, but still important. So first we're going to talk about Dustin. So Dustin, after Eddie's death, he's trying to keep the Hellfire Club alive, and with Will, not much is going on with him. It seems like he's trying to figure everything out while he's normal. But because of his connection to the hive mind, even though the particles are out of his body, he is still somewhat connected to Vecna and the rest of the hive mind, and is able to basically... He has some type of power where he can sense a person. And then we have Lucas, who... Honestly, in my opinion, Lucas and Mike are like the least important here, because like they don't really have anything to do, in my opinion, and that's very much all you need to know. We also have Steve, where he doesn't really have anything to do either. He's just helping Robin with her radio show, but she also functions a radio show for the rest of the group so that they know when they're going to do another crawl. And guess what? Robin managed to get with Vicky. She got the girl. I just wish we saw it. It's more like we saw it starting at the end of Season 4, but we see it happening right now. And I wish we saw it developed a little more. We also go to Hopper Joyce and Eleven, where Eleven is constantly training so that she can go down to the Upside Down and take down Vecna, and Hopper and Joyce is acting as her coach. And let's see what else is going on here. So after the events of season 4, Will and the Byers don't really have anywhere to live, so they're living with the Wheelers, and Nancy and Jonathan, their relationship doesn't seem to be going very well. It seems like there's not much going on between them. So Dustin, he's trying to keep Hellfire Club alive, and Jason's basketball team is always on him just because he's wearing the Hellfire shirt. And when he messed with one of them, well, a fight broke out between the whole gang, and Dustin ended up being attacked. There's also this thing going on between Jonathan and Steve where they're competing for Nancy, and it is brought up many times, but they do seal up their beef in season 5. When you see their interactions from time to time, like from beginning to end, it's developed, but it's not focused much. So you kind of have to really pay attention so that you know how they get closer, because aside from season 1, there's not really much interactions between them, so this was kind of new to me. Murray is also in this too, and he kind of acts as the supplier, so he's allowed to leave and go back to Hawkins whenever he wants. And I feel like this is a role that was a missed opportunity for Argyle. I just wish, like I said, I wish Argyle was there. He could have been the assistant or something like that. I guess the actors didn't want to come back or something. That had to be the only explanation. As for Vecna, we don't see him a lot in the movie. Not in the movie. A lot in the season. But he does make a few returns. His biggest moment was when the crew found out that Vecna is looking for kids. And one of the kids that he stole was Holly, Mike and Nancy's little sister. And when the Demogorgon attacked their house, they attacked their parents. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were going to die. Like, Mike's dad looked like he was absolutely dead. I mean, he was slashed across his chest and was thrown through the wall into Mike's room and was limp down on the floor. So I'm surprised he was able to survive. I'm more surprised that his mom was able to survive, as she took a broken beer bottle and started stabbing the Demogorgon with it. And when he got the chance, he slashed her and then took Holly. And then Vecna took Holly to another, actually it's more like a plane in her mind, I believe, or in his mind. Like her conscience was transferred into his mind or something like that. It's hard to explain how it works. But he took her to like a version of his house that wasn't messed up, so that she can do basically whatever she wants, so long as she doesn't try to leave. As long as she doesn't leave the house and go into the woods, because he made her think that there's like monsters in the woods, so if she goes in there, the monsters will get her. And then she gets a message that leads her to Max, and Max has been trying to find a way to get out of this little coma that she's in. She was close, but she took too long. She literally stood there and did not try to run, like at all. But it's still fine. She found Holly. Now they just have to work together to get out together. And then we are introduced to one of the other kids that the Demogorgons were after, which is Derek, which I thought was going to play a big role in the story. I mean, he did for the first 4 episodes, but not too much in the middle of the 3 episodes, and definitely not a lot in the last episode. I mean, okay, he did help a little, but that's just it, just a little. That's it. And there's also this one scene where they did in fact get all of the kids, most of the kids. I did like that one scene where Mike was like, "Mr. What's it?" And then the girl goes and looks at the black kid. He goes in, and then she just goes back in. That is a scene that everyone is talking about. And Suck My Fat One, where Robin goes, "Jesus, what?" That reaction really got me right there. Like, the way she reacted to that really got me. All in all, the entire season was actually really good. I also want to bring up the dynamic between Dustin and Steve, because you notice it in season 4, but season 5 really brings it in. And over the death of Eddie, it seems like Dustin isn't taking it too well, and it doesn't seem like Steve really cares. I mean, okay, I get, okay. When you watch all 5 seasons or all 4 seasons of Stranger Things, you kind of get that Dustin has a bad habit of admitting he's wrong. Like he's never admitted before, and I do get it is annoying, and he does have an ego, but it's not really okay. It is bad, but I feel like Steve doesn't understand how much Eddie's death actually messed him up, like how much it affected him. Another thing I also want to point out is that I really, really, really wish that Eddie coming back as Cass and becoming a vampire and a henchman to Vecna, only to betray him. I wish that was true. I really wanted to see him come back. Like everyone wanted to see him come back. Like it was so. They wanted Eddie to come back. Everyone. I wanted Eddie to come back so bad that there was a whole freaking theory of him becoming a vampire in the Upside Down because of the Demobats tearing into his flesh. I also wonder how were they able to bury him? Like, did they bring Eddie's body? They had to find a. They must have found a way to cover it up so that he could be buried because of his tombstone. And I also really do like the dynamic between Max and Holly. And I also do like Derek. Like I said, he is obnoxious, sure, but his development overall speaks volume because see it like this. He met up with Holly and Max, and those two now know that he knows her friends and her brother, Holly's brother, and he did try to lead Vecna away. But then he threatened him, saying that he would basically kill his whole family. So he had no choice but to comply and let Vecna know where he is. And I do really like Vecna's new form. It's actually really great. Way better than his original one. He kind of looks like the Grinch in the midsection, because of his belly protruding out. At least that's what it looked like to me. And I also really love the music choices that they had throughout the entirety of the show. This season. But there is one in particular I didn't like. I'm sure everyone knows that one. I'm not going to say it because I don't remember the name of the song. But I'm sure you guys remember which song I'm talking about from which scene. I also really liked when Will at some point used his powers to kill the Demogorgons. That was like the best way to end Volume 1 to get us ready for Volume 2. And when you go into Volume 2, when they're split up in volumes, it makes it as if you're watching the beginning of a new season every time. So like when you finish Volume 1 and go into Volume 2, it feels like you're watching another new season when really you're just watching the continuation of the same season. And I know that's what it really was. It's because you waited so long for these new episodes, by the way. And I really liked how Vecna was able to protrude his mangled claw hand, and use it as a melee weapon because he can protrude it out and just move it anywhere. And I also really liked how Will's powers kind of work. He's not like Eleven or Kali. By the way, Kali does return for the 5th season because of course she does. It's done in a way where he's able to see through Vecna's eyes and the people he is trying to get, and is able to somehow kill the Demogorgons. I kind of wish that he was a number. I kind of wish he was like a 12, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. All in all, I did actually like the season. I also really liked it when Vecna sent the Demodogs after Max. I really did like that scene. And I also liked Karen. Is that her? I hope that's her name. Mike's mom played a huge role in saving Lucas, Robin, Vicky, and Max from the Demodogs, and how she basically knows everything about everything that's been going on in the past 4 seasons. Something was telling me that their parents was gonna know at some point. I just wasn't sure when. But I guess season 5 technically did it. I mean, Mike's mom now knows. And then we go over to the final piece of everything where they all go into the Upside Down, And this is where episode 8 feels like one big story. Like, we're not slipping between different points in the movie. I mean, okay, technically we are. Like, we're going to the Upside Down, and then we're going to the Abyss, and then we're going to the Upside Down, and then we're going to the Abyss, because their plan is to stop Vecna from using the power of the kids so that he can merge the two worlds together, because apparently the Upside Down isn't a realm to another world. It's actually a bridge between worlds. It's just that Vecna modeled it after the surface world. And when the Abyss and our world matches together, he uses his ability to basically reform the world as he see fit. And that was actually... And I also really liked the final battle. Like, people say that the final battle was too plot armor heavy because they were fighting the Mind Flayer, I believe, in its true form. And we also got to find out how Vecna became Vecna. Like, he is the master, but he's also the henchman, because the Mind Flayer is this henchman, but he's also the master. I'm sure a lot of you guys will have a better idea of how to explain it, but that's basically how I saw it. Anyway, the final fight between Vecna, from there with Vecna and 11, was also really great. And the scene when Joyce starts to knock down his head, chomp on his head with an axe, you see, it pans to each person and what person died because of Vecna that they cared about. Like, with Joyce, it was Bob. With Nancy, it was Barb. With Dustin, it was Eddie. You know, stuff like that. And when he finally died, and when everyone finally was going back to the surface, everything was going good until the soldiers came in and was about to restrain everyone. Now, this is an ending that I feel like mirrors season 1's ending, where 11, in both instances, so the government interferes and everything's going great. Everything's going great. The government interferes, and we almost thought that Elle and Mike could finally go back to living normally, or even leaving Hawkins. But the government proved that it was difficult, at least for 11. So she goes into the Upside Down. She lets the bomb go off, and the bridge is destroyed with her in it. And we skipped to 8 months. This was like a really sad scene. And we skipped to 8 months, and we basically see the end for everyone. The 4 kids get to graduate, including Max, because she does come back and goes to her body. The teenage team would basically meet every month to a relative of Robin's. And we would see Hopper propose to Joyce as they are now getting married. And then we finally see what happens at the end of the show, where Mike, and alongside the rest of his party, and Max, because she's now playing D&D, are playing D&D, and the campaign is coming to an end, and Mike somehow reveals that 11 might actually still be alive. And there's this one sad scene where everyone is putting their character sheet book away. And to me, this is symbolism to the actors saying goodbye to their characters. It's not just the characters saying goodbye to the characters that they play in D&D. This is a reflection to the actors saying goodbye to their characters that they played for many years. For almost very much a whole decade now. And then, as Mike goes upstairs, his little sister and her friends come downstairs to play D&D as well. And the story ends. It was a sad ending, but it was a good ending too. I get that the climactic final fight was too much for anyone to comprehend because of the plot armor. No, it wasn't too much to comprehend. It was just too much to bring together. And Vecna was just dialed down just so that the good guys could win. I get that. But to me, it was still a good ending. And there were reports of a spinoff, although I don't know what the spinoff is about. I am excited to see what that spinoff will look like. And then we have a movie end credit style ending for the episode, further emphasizing that this was a feature-length episode. Also, this was Also, the final episode streamed on in theaters. It had a theater release, and boy, do I wish I went to see it. But I'm never really good at those kind of movie events, so even if I wanted to, I feel like I wouldn't have been able to. But the reactions were clear from the theaters. Everyone liked it. Everyone. It even had fake out deaths that I actually thought Steve was going to die. Like, there were so many close calls that Steve was going to die throughout the entirety of the series. And just as when they were about to do it, it was a fake out death. And that really brought me, that really almost brought me to tears, because I really did not want to see Steve get killed or axed in the series. But all things considered, like I said, this was an eventful journey from season 1 to the final episode of season 5. And honestly, I still think that it was a really good show. It had a really good story. The ending, I understand. But in the end, I still enjoyed every second of it. And even though there are some plot holes that were left unsolved, like one of them being that the fact that the government was making an army of 11, or people like 11, it was in the Upside Down, and the Upside Down is destroyed. So they're probably most likely dead now. So either way, that's just how I feel. So here's my rating. I'm going to give the story altogether a 10 out of 10, and season 5 a 10 out of 10.